Whenever we think of cherry shrimps, the most common one that comes to our mind is the red cherry shrimp. But there is also another variant that is becoming quite popular these days, and that is called, as you have guessed, the blue cherry shrimp. So I have often seen that people are now keeping blue cherry shrimps along with red cherry shrimps, or they are keeping blue cherry shrimps in a separated tank. So I have decided to make this video to talk about how you can take care of these blue cherry shrimps in details. Now, almost all new Cardina shrimps, like red cherry shrimps, blue cherry shrimps, their care guide is almost similar. They don't require much. They are very hardy, and that's why these new Cardina shrimps are especially, a good choice for beginners. So if you're a beginner and if you can't, keep the proper water parameters exact to the T, then nothing devastating might happen, because these shrimps are very forgiving. They can withstand a large span of water parameters, temperature range, pH range, etc. But that's not what this video is about. In this video, I will share what you should do if you want to keep your blue cherry shrimps happy and excited to be in your tank. Okay, so let's get started. So let me first give some overview. So these blue cherry shrimps get to about 1.25 to 2 inches when they are adult. And if you want to keep them happily, then you should invest in at least a 10-gallon tank. Provided that you are not keeping any other tank mates with them. You can keep some snails, but don't keep any other large fish or something like that. In that case, you will need a larger tank. But also, tank mates are not good for cherry shrimps. I will say why later. So a 10-gallon tank will be perfect. These shrimps typically live about 1 to 2 years, and they are omnivorous, so they eat both plant and animal matters. They are very friendly and peacegoing types of shrimps. So now let me tell you, what do you need to keep them in a tank? Okay, so first you will need at least a 5 to 10 gallon tank. I will recommend a 10-gallon tank. 5 gallon is too small in my opinion to grow a healthy shrimp colony. So after the tank, you should invest in a tank lid, I would say. If you are in a place where the temperature gets too high, then I would say don't get a tank lid that will properly cover the whole tank. Okay, so in that case, the temperature inside the tank will rise up. So I would say something like a screen top will do, because then air can pass throughout the tank, throughout the lid. This is because cherry shrimps tend to jump out of the tank whenever they feel like. So that's why I would recommend the tank lid. But in many cases, people actually don't use a tank lid. So if you're fine with that, then that's okay. But if you're not using any tank lid, then remember to keep a 1 or 2 inch gap of the water level from the top of the aquarium, because that will prevent the shrimps from jumping out of the tank. Next, you will need a good filtration system. Now, if you're keeping only shrimps, I would advise getting a sponge filter. Sponge filters work great for shrimps. If you don't like the aesthetics of sponge filter, you can get a hang-on back filter. These are also called hop filter. So, hop filter or sponge filter will do enough for your shrimp tank, provided that you are not keeping any other large tank mates. In that case, we'll need a stronger filter. Okay, now for substrate, I would say choose a darker substrate. Okay, so I would say anything like black or dark chocolate or that type of color, because if you choose a lighter substrate, then the cherry shrimp or the blue cherry shrimps will not show their true dark blue color, because they tend to camouflage in their environment. So if you're keeping them in a light substrate tank, then they will lighten their body color in order to camouflage with the substrate. So that's why if you want your blue cherry shrimps to truly enhance their color, then choose a dark substrate. Okay, now next, you will cherry shrimps do very good in a planted tank. So I would say, if you are not ready to invest in a proper planted tank, like high-tech planted tank, that's not any problem. You can keep some very easy plants in your tank. So some plants can be java fern, anubias, then some types of moss. These are great beginner plants. They don't need much from you, and your shrimps will also love it. And especially get some type of moss, because shrimps absolutely love moss. So I will absolutely recommend getting any type of moss. It can be Java moss, Fun moss, Christmas moss, or anything you would like. Now, for the aesthetics, you can invest in a driftwood or some kind of wood, because it creates a natural environment in the tank. Also, driftwoods like Malaysian driftwood, they release some type of tannin in the water, which lowers the pH of the water. And tannin is actually good for the health of the shrimp. You can also use Indian almond leaves and chola wood. These two are also great options for blue cherry shrimps, because Indian almond leaves actually release tannin, which lowers the pH of the water and creates a softer water, which is good for shrimps. Also, chola wood acts as a hideout for the shrimps, so shrimps love the chola woods too, and they graze on the chola woods, which also acts as a food source for them. And lastly, you will also need some kind of light to see what's going on inside the tank. And if you're using real plants, then the plants will need light too. In that case, I will suggest some kind of LED light which doesn't produce much heat. So you don't want your light to warm up your tank. Okay, in that case, the temperature might get too high, which will not be good for your shrimps. And lastly, if you can, invest in a thermometer, so you can always monitor the temperature of the water inside the tank. And that is highly recommended. This one is get a water test kit. I would recommend API freshwater master test kit, because it will help you to regularly see the water parameters and check if everything is in the right range. And you can do it periodically, like once a week, once a month. So if you see your shrimps are starting to die or something else is happening, you can quickly check the water, and it will give you kind of like an x-ray version of your tank, so you can see what is going wrong. And in most cases, if anything is wrong with your shrimp tank, then any of the water parameters will be responsible. So what are those water parameters? It's like pH, temperature, GH, KH, TDS, those kinds of things. So now I will talk about these parameters and the ideal range for them. So the ideal temperature for blue cherry shrimps will be 22 to 28 degrees Celsius. And if you're in America, it will be 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And the optimal pH will be 6 to 8. Optimal GH will be 6 to 8 ppm. Optimal TDS will be 150 to 200 ppm. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm looking at the screen, because I have an article which I've written in that screen. So I'm reading off from that article, because I have not memorized all of these parameters. If you want to learn more about the care of blue cherry shrimps, then I'll highly suggest you read this article, because you will learn much more here. I will put the link of this article in the description box below, so you can check it out. Okay, and optimal KH will be 1 to 4 ppm, and they love a light flow. They don't like too much high flow in the water, and nitrate should be less than 20 ppm, and both ammonia and nitrite should be absolutely zero. So look for these water parameters when you are keeping blue cherry shrimps. Now, when it comes to food, blue cherry shrimps actually are scavengers. All cherry shrimps are scavengers, so they will graze on algae all day long. But if you want, you can give them some additional food. It can be algae wafer, it can be fish food, normal aquarium fish food. It can be flakes. It can be some kinds of vegetable like carrot, a piece of carrot, a piece of cucumber, and stuff like that. But if you are giving them any vegetable, be sure to boil that vegetable first, blanch that vegetable so it is soft, and then put the vegetable inside the tank. And after about 1 or 2 hours, take out that vegetable, because if you leave that in the tank, then it will start to decompose and ruin the water quality. We don't want that to happen. And that's it. They're very easy going with food. If you don't want to feed them every day, that is okay also, because cherry shrimps actually live on algae. They graze on algae, so you can give them food, supplementary food, twice or three times a week. That is okay too. Now, when it comes to tank mates, I often recommend not keeping any kind of shrimps with any other tank mates, because in many cases, cherry shrimps become the prey for other tank mates. Like if you keep any other fish like tetra, or some aggressive fish like rams, they will hunt down the shrimps, they will hunt down the babies, and they will try to eat them. So in most cases, cherry shrimps are not safe with other tank mates. But you can keep small schooling fishes like Petit Rasbora, Then I would say Harlequin rasbora, tetras might do well. I'm not sure. It also depends on many cases. But if you want to keep tank mates in your cherishim tank, make sure there are lots of hiding places for the blue cherishims to hide. If any fish tries to hunt them down, then they should be able to hide inside any kind of hideout or inside any kind of plant. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you absolutely want to keep some kind of tank mates, then I will suggest you can keep snails. Snails can be a great tank mate, but don't keep assassin snails, because assassin snails are known for their predatory nature, so that can be dangerous. So don't keep assassin snails. You can mix and match different types of shrimps in one single tank, but it will be a problem if you give color importance. So if you want your offsprings, blue cherishim offsprings, to be more blue and brighter, in that case you should not keep mix and match different types of cherishims, because when you do that, suppose if you're keeping red and blue cherishim in a single tank, the next year the offsprings will not be a mix of blue and red. They will start to get translucent, they will start to get clear body, which is not what we want. So for that, try to keep only one species of shrimp, one color of shrimp in the tank. Now that's all it. So if you want to start a blue cherishim colony, I would suggest start with at least 10 shrimps, 5 male, 5 female, and that should be a good start to create a blue cherishim colony. I hope you have found this video helpful. If you want to know more about blue cherishim care, then do click the link in the description, where you will find an article of mine, and I have explained in details everything, so you will know much more how to care of them. So that's it for today. Take care.